Hey YouTube, Stretchline Bait and Tackle here, and I want to cover a topic concerning live scope. And this seems to be an endless debate, but live scope versus your traditional scopes and what it brings to bass fishing. And I want to start off with an experience that happened to me this just recently, where I'm fishing out at Squaw Creek Lake, and I'm working a point, and I come around and I see a boat sitting there, really nice big bass boat, decked out. I mean, it's 100 to 200 grand for the stuff. Well, the gentleman fishing is standing up on the front casting, and he's not watching the water. He's not watching his surroundings or anything. He's watching that scope. So I know what he's doing. He's watching that live scope, and he sees some fish down there, and he's throwing to them. And I know he can see his lure also, and I watched him for a while. He was there for good 10, 15 minutes there fishing before he just packed up and moved on. He didn't catch anything. And I worked my way on down around the point off there towards him. And when I got to where he was fishing, I checked my graph. And I use traditional graphs here. I do have side imaging and stuff. I don't have the forward facing sonar and stuff. But I could see it was an underwater point about 9 feet deep with 19 to 20 foot drop offs on each side and timber along the point. So I knew just looking at my graph, that's a good place. I didn't see the fish, couldn't see fish on my scope, but no, he saw one. So I come along and I start casting. Fifth cast, boom, I pull one in. Stay there a little bit longer, pull out a second one, and then before I moved on down. And I guess the premise of this little story, this little tale here, isn't so much live scope versus your traditional scopes that one's better than the other. I think what we forget sometimes is when we rely too much on technology, that sometimes we have to go to the basics, and it still comes down to presentation. It comes down to color. It comes down to lure. It comes down to the speed of the retrieve. It comes down to the depth. There are so many factors involved because bass at times are real picky eaters. And you need to have the knowledge to put the right lure, the right color, the right design, the right movement in front of the fish, and they will strike. And I guess that's the whole premise of this is just those electronics are nice. And I'm not here to say one's better than the other. And I know when the live scope came out, I looked at them. I mean, they're nice, they're expensive, but they're really nice and they're cool. But I guess I'm more of a traditional fisherman, and I like to see, I want to see depth, I want to see water temperature, and I want to see structure. I want to see what the bottom is. Is it grass? Is it humps? Is it a creek channel? And that's basically what I use my graphs for. I don't use them per se to find fish. I use them to find fish habitats where the bass are going to be hanging, where they're going to hide and ambush for bait fish. What's the water temperature? What's the clarity? What color lure am I using? What kind of movement? So I guess what it boils down to is when you come down to the end game, it doesn't matter how much money you have, how much money you're putting into this, how much time you put into it. If you don't learn the basics of lure colors versus water clarity, even water temperatures, depths, pressures, time of the year, barometric pressures. There's so many variables that come into being a good bass fisherman and finding the bass and enticing them to bite. And I know a lot of people, we're using graphs and scopes and stuff, we can find the fish. It's a whole nother story when it comes to getting those fish to actually bite what we're offering. And so I guess that's the whole premise of my story here is just learn the basics. Be good at the basics before you move to relying on simply a forward-looking sonar or a graph or whatever you're using. Just learn your basics. Be good at your basics. Be smart at your basics. Learn the bass. Learn what they like when they like it. So, all right. Hey, that's my 2 cents worth for today. So I just want to, I'll end this with to remember to be safe out on the water. Always wear your PFD and pick up your trash. Pick up other people's trash and yak it out.